Here's a fact, or as close to a fact as you can get in politics. Zohran Mamdani is going to be the next mayor of New York City in a month and a half's time. I don't think people, especially Democrats, are sort of dealing with that fact, accepting that fact, handling that fact well. But I do think it is a reality of the situation. And there have been a bunch of developments lately in the mayoral race that I think people think are going to change things, and they're not going to change things. All right, let's go through a few things here. First of all, the big news over the last week is the fact that incumbent Mayor Eric Adams is not running for re-election. Now, this had been rumored forever. He was rumored to take a job with the Trump administration. He eventually basically just got out because there was no path to winning, which, by the way, I would say was true months ago, but I guess Eric Adams just realized it now. That occasioned this big conversation about whether the race had been jiggered, whether there was now a path for Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York, who lost the Democratic primary to Mamdani, to make a comeback. I want to read you something. This made me chuckle. This is from the Wall Street Journal. It published on September 30th, Tuesday, September 30th. Cuomo pins long shot comeback on reshaped New York mayor's race. Okay, I'm just going to read you the beginning. Cuomo now hopes to pick up Adams' backers and build a winning coalition that would include Republicans and independents after having spent months trailing in the polls behind Democratic frontrunner Zohran Mamdani. The former governor will need supporters of President Trump to show up for him on November 4th, but too strong an association with the president could alienate black Democrats, Cuomo's largest base of voters in the June primary. Okay, this is the best quote in the entire piece. This is from a guy who I don't know but immediately admire, named Jay DePapper, who is the director of strategy and innovation at the Marist College Institute for Public Opinion. Quote, this is about Cuomo. It's like an old guy putting on skater shorts and sunglasses and going out and pretending he's a kid. I don't think it's working because it's not authentic. That is amazing. I assume he's describing the Steve Buscemi vibe. What's up, fellow kids, with the skateboard and the hat backwards hat? Anyway, yeah, I think that's basically right. I think the idea that Andrew Cuomo, and I think some people in the Democratic establishment, maybe in the media establishment, still kind of cling to this. The idea that Andrew Cuomo is going to beat Zohran Mamdani because Eric Adams isn't in the race anymore is unrealistic. So let me pause for a second. I want to go through sort of why I think this is basically a lock for Mamdani, why Democrats are still not totally on board or dealing with this reality, and why they should be in a minute. Before I do that, I want to make a quick pitch to you on why you should subscribe to my channel. 2 words: independent, authentic. Independent from corporate media, just me, and independent from the 2 political parties. Authentic, always telling you what I think is going on, not providing fan service. You will not always agree with me. That is a good thing. Okay, so let's do state of the race. Where are we? It really hasn't changed all that much. So Mamdani wins the primary at the end of June. Democratic Socialist wins Democratic primary. Everyone assumed Andrew, including me, thought Andrew Cuomo was going to win this race when it started. Mamdani comes out of nowhere. He wants to make buses free. He wants to freeze rent. He wants to socialize grocery stores. He's energetic and young, and he looks like the opposite of old establishment Andrew Cuomo. He wins the primary. The race really hasn't changed all that much since then. So other than Cuomo decides to run as an independent, I looked at Decision Desk HQ, which has a great polling summary, basically an average of all the polls that have been done in the race since the primary. Here's what they have. Mamdani is averaging 44.6% of the vote. Cuomo, 26.6%, Republican nominee and guardian angel. Curtis Sliwa, 11.9%, and Adams, 8.1%. Now you say, well, what about Adams not being in the race? Okay, well, there was a Marist poll out last week that envisioned the possibility of the race not having Eric Adams in it. Mamdani, 46%. Cuomo 30. So this is the thing. Eric Adams had the least percentage of the vote of the candidates who were left in this race. So him getting out of the race, the idea that all of his vote, and it wasn't that much, kind of mid to high single digits, all of his votes just going to immediately go to Cuomo, I don't think is borne out. I think Mamdani is a place where a fair number of people who supported Adams could land. I think most will go to Cuomo, but not all. And so that's the polling. Basically, Mamdani 45, Cuomo 27, Sliwa 12. Okay. It's going to be really hard, I think. What changes in this race now, between now and early November, that gets Cuomo that much more support? Polling is one thing. Betting markets are another. You can obviously bet on politics nowadays in America. So there are two main betting markets, Kalshi and Polymarket. Those are even more overwhelmingly pro-Mamdani. In Kalshi, Mamdani has an 84% chance of winning, Cuomo 15%. In Polymarket, Mamdani has an 86% chance of winning, Cuomo 13%. That seems much more in line with what I think is going on here, which is Mamdani wins this race unless there is an absolute cataclysm, which I don't, with him or in the race more generally, which I don't anticipate happening. So Mamdani's going to be the next mayor of New York City. He just got the profile treatment on the cover of Vanity Fair. Why are more Democratic leaders not embracing him? Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, recently endorsed him, but like Hakeem Jeffries, the New York congressman and U.S. House minority leader, highest ranking Democrat in the House, has not. Chuck Schumer, New Yorker, highest ranking Democrat in the Senate, has not. I think the reason for that is Mamdani represents a threat to them. Mamdani is a guy who ran expressly against the establishment that these politicians like Jeffries, like Schumer, like even Hochul represent. I think they couch their opposition to Mamdani in policy terms. And yes, Mamdani, as a Democratic socialist, is clearly to the left of most every elected official in the Democratic Party, with the possible exception of Bernie Sanders, AOC, and a few others, right? But I think it's really more about what Mamdani represents, which is, well, if this 33-year-old guy can come and beat a 3-time elected governor of New York in a Democratic primary, what does that mean for me? Remember, all politics is about what it means for you, the politician, right? You're very rarely concerned about like the broader good or what does this mean for the Democratic Party? It's like, well, if Chuck Schumer endorses Mamdani, that means that AOC could pull a Mamdani against Chuck Schumer in 2028 when he's up for re-election, right? So it's like, well, I don't know if we should get behind this guy. The point, though, is like, it doesn't really matter if Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer get behind Mamdani. Mamdani's going to win. And I don't think their endorsement or lack thereof changes anything. To me, yes, is Mamdani going to be someone that Republicans are already and will continue to use as a boogeyman nationally? Absolutely. Now, Mamdani was born in Uganda. He can't run for president, but that will not stop Republicans from sort of trying to raise money off of Mamdani, trying to cast Mamdani as sort of the future of the Democratic Party. You know, the Democratic Party is now really controlled by actual socialists kind of stuff. But that's going to happen anyway, right? That's going to happen anyway, because Zohran Mamdani is going to be the mayor of the biggest and most high-profile city in America. And to me, Democrats just need to sort of get right with that fact. Yes, Mamdani is going to be someone that is going to be hung around their necks. Yes, and some of his views, no question. At the same time, Mamdani is also a guy who has shown an ability to energize young voters, has shown an ability to build organization, has shown energy, passion, and support natively growing in a campaign. Those, to me, are all lessons that Democrats can learn, whether you agree with him about everything or not. But my point most broadly here is the Democratic political establishment and the political world needs to get this through their head. Zohran Mamdani is going to win. There is no scenario, not Eric Adams dropping out, not even, I don't think Curtis Sliwa was going to drop out, but I'm not even sure if Curtis Sliwa dropped out, the Republican nominee, that we'd be in a 50-50 race here. It would give Andrew Cuomo a better chance, but I'm not sure he would win. I think this, under every scenario I can plausibly imagine, Zohran Mamdani wins in early November. Zohran Mamdani is the next mayor of New York City. That comes with pluses and minuses for Democrats, but they need to accept that reality and begin to prepare for that reality. Again, both the good and the bad, much better than I think the political establishment is currently doing. All right, that's it for me today. As always, a couple things. One, I already said, I hope you subscribe. Independent and authentic, my North Stars. I will always follow them. I hope you like and comment on this video in particular. That helps me grow and get my content out in front of people who are not already subscribers on YouTube. Last thing, be an evangelist for me. Tell a couple of people about what I'm doing here and why you think it matters and why in advance of the 2026 election, they need to hit that subscribe button for me. Okay, take care.